Identity, the quest for Israel's future. Emanuel Shahaf, hello to you.
Hello, hello.
We're creating this interview February, almost 2023. You're seeing whatever is happening here in Israel, and the question regarding the identity is being more hard than ever. What would you emphasize in this monthly report?
I think it's clear that we're in the middle of a hostile takeover. The government of Israel is taking over the system of government of Israel and is trying to change it. It didn't get legitimacy to do that, it's doing it anyway. At the same time, we're in the middle of a very severe crisis security-wise, which to some extent has probably been brought about by the government itself, by being pretty reckless in its actions in the Palestinian areas. Although we can't be sure about that, but since it serves the government, we may have to take that into consideration.
You're thinking that now the state of Israel, what should do the citizens according to this hostile takeover?
The citizens have to prevent this hostile takeover under all circumstances. It means they have to do everything that's possible legally to prevent the government of pushing through the legislation that it wants to push through.
When you're saying everything according to the law, what exactly do you mean?
Demonstrations, tax strike, anything that we can think of in terms of civil disobedience, blocking roads, just like in the US, people fought for civil rights. We have to fight for our civil rights and prevent this government from going through what it wants to go through with.
Do you think that a sudden, internal, practical war might happen?
I don't see a civil war, so to speak, but there may be isolated instances of violence, definitely between Jews and Arabs as part of an extension of what's happening in the West Bank. Possibly also between Jews, but I don't think it'll be a full-blown civil war. I think the government will come to its senses or will be deposed before that happens.
And now when the government is saying, hey, there are fire, there are terrorist attack in Jerusalem, we should take all measures needed, you're saying that?
I'm saying that the government is using this, the silence we're shooting is a well-known recipe used by autocrats to prevent civil disobedience. I think we have to look over that and ignore those calls, and we have to make sure that the legislation doesn't pass, because if it does, Israel will not be a democracy anymore, and that's clear.
And you're saying, on the other hand, regarding the Palestinian aspect, the Palestinian war that is happening, how many civilians were from the Palestinian side during the last year?
Well, it's not clear that they're all civilians, but the casualty is very high. Last year was, I think, the highest casualty. I think it's more than 140 Palestinians who were killed in 2022, which is the highest one for many, many years. And 30 have been killed from the beginning of the year, and it's clear that not all of them were combatants. So we can't be surprised that there has been a Palestinian response in the form of terror. Okay, I know it's we sometimes or we frequently ignore what we did on the Palestinian side, but it cannot be ignored. And since this government is not interested in keeping things down, as some members of the governing coalition already said quite openly, that if they have the choice between mayhem and calm or peace, they choose mayhem. Mayhem it will be, and that won't serve anyone.
And you think that a coming new intifada by the Palestinians might happen?
Absolutely.
When?
Absolutely. Any day. Any day. It's just like the recent intifadas broke out. All of a sudden, some event will make some funeral, some death, some accident, something will make it happen. It's all there. The government isn't trying to prevent it.
And you think it might happen also in between the populations of the Israeli Arab people also
Certainly,
here?
one of the main problems of places of conflagration is Jerusalem. And in Jerusalem, the government is turning up the heat by raising houses which have been constructed illegally, which are in no way connected to terror. And the raising of these houses has always been done very carefully in order not to cause conflagration. According to a schedule and everything, the government decided to raise them all in one go, and that will cause a reaction. And whoever goes for operations like that will have to pay a price, and we're going to pay that price.
What kind of price are you visualizing?
Unrest in Jerusalem between Jews and Arabs, and accordingly also unrest in the mixed Arab and Jewish cities. Okay, that's going to happen. We're going to have another replay of what happened in May 2022.
Another unrest is happening in the Knesset with all the new initiatives to close, to shut down, to change, to reform. What is your perspective about those?
No, well, the government is trying to take steps which are clearly illegal by Israeli law, and of course also by international law.
They are saying we have the majority. We have 64
fingers. Well, they're bringing about a clash with the legal system, which serves the government very well, because the government wants to bypass the legal system or make it inactive. So whatever is happening is serving the government, and we as a people have to work against the government with all our might.
With all
our might, yes. Because if the legislation goes through, Israel will not be the same place anymore.
You know, Emanuel, we've been creating these interviews for the last couple of years. I think I've never heard you speaking this way about what is happening.
But that's the situation. Sadly enough, that's the situation. It is clear this is a hostile takeover, that this is the end of democracy as we know it in Israel, if the government manages to pass the legislation, and we have to prevent it.
As a parent here in Israel, a grandpa, a former chief in the Israeli Mossad, as part of the forces of the Israeli Air Force, what is your feelings right now toward what is happening in Israel?
I'm scared. I'm scared because I'm not sure that we can muster the forces that we need in order to overcome this government. I don't think the population or much of the population is aware of the danger ahead, and I hope we'll manage.
Emanuel Shahaf, you're saying you're scared, but yet you're doing so much in order to prevent, to help, to create any kind of hope with your books, with your lectures. There's a new book that has been launched.
Well, it's not a new book. It's my book, my original book, but it's now
in Arabic.
Launched in Arabic, which is
that's new.
Actually, that's new, and the timing is not bad. Couldn't be better. I hope many people in the Arab population read it and take some hope away from the federation proposal, which I think is still the most relevant and the only relevant way to solve the problem with the Palestinians. And I hope we'll be able to go towards that once we finished with dealing with this government.
You think this situation, this kind of solution that is raising in your books in English, Hebrew, now in Arabic, is doable? Is reasonable now?
I think before we can go towards something like that, we have to hit bottom. I think we're on the way of hitting bottom. I don't know how long this crisis is going to take, but from that crisis will come renewal, and renewal will bring about the federation, I hope.
People that want to be part of
Facebook,
the community?
Emanuel Shahaf, or Identity, the Quest for Israel's Future. I'm there.
Only respectable and non-hostile.
Non-hostile responses, preferably, yes.
Identity, the Quest for Israel's Future with Emanuel Shahaf, the launching of the new book. Any last sentence, any last hope that you would like to share right now?
I hope we'll muster the forces and the powers that we need in order to overcome this government.
Do you think it's doable yet?
It's doable.
Emanuel Shahaf, Identity, the Quest for Israel's Future. I want to thank you very much.
Thank you.